Imagine this. You're walking through a forest. The trees tower above you, their branches knitted so tightly overhead that the sunlight barely makes it to the ground. The air is cool. The soil is damp. Every step you take is cushioned by fallen leaves, and the only sound is the soft crunch beneath your boots and the distant call of a bird somewhere in the canopy. And then, you see it. Rising up from the shadows, no taller than your hand, is something that stops you in your tracks. It's pale, ghostly white, almost glowing against the dark earth. It looks like it's been carved out of wax, or maybe sculpted from bone. For a moment, you're not even sure if it's alive. It could be a mushroom. It could be something dead. It could be something out of a fairy tale. But it's none of those things. Welcome to Science Curiosity. What you're looking at is one of the strangest, most misunderstood, and most quietly extraordinary living things in the entire forest. It has no green leaves. It has never seen the sun and doesn't need to. It survives by stealing from its neighbors. And when you touch it, it dies. This is a ghost plant, a plant that breaks nearly every rule of what a plant is supposed to be. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is this pale little phantom? At first glance, most people assume it's a mushroom. And honestly, it's an easy mistake to make. It's white. It's waxy. It pushes up out of the forest floor in small clusters, often near rotting wood or the roots of old trees. It looks like something that belongs to the fungal kingdom. But here's the twist: it isn't a mushroom at all. The ghost plant, known scientifically as Monotropa uniflora, is actually a flowering perennial plant. That's right, a real plant, with roots, stems, flowers, and seeds. It just happens to look nothing like the green, leafy plants we usually picture when we think of botany. You can find it growing in temperate forests across Asia and across North and South America. It thrives in cool, moist, shady woodland, the kind of place where sunlight is scarce and the ground stays damp under a thick blanket of leaves. Now, the first big question people ask when they see one is, why is it so pale? Why does it look like it's been drained of all color? The answer lies in what the ghost plant is missing. Nearly every plant on Earth contains a green pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what gives leaves their green color, and more importantly, it's the molecule that allows plants to perform photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants capture sunlight and convert it into energy. It's the reason plants need the sun. It's the reason most plants grow toward the light. But the ghost plant has no chlorophyll. None at all. And because it has no chlorophyll, it cannot photosynthesize. It cannot make its own food from sunlight. And without that green pigment, there is nothing to color its tissues, which is why it appears that eerie, waxy white sometimes with faint pink or black speckles, but essentially colorless. So here we have a plant that doesn't need the sun, a plant that doesn't turn its face toward the light, a plant that can grow in the deepest shadows of the forest, where almost nothing else can survive. But this raises an obvious question. If the ghost plant can't make its own food from sunlight, how on earth does it survive? What does it eat? The answer is one of the most remarkable survival strategies in the entire plant kingdom. It's called Mycoheterotrophy. That's a mouthful, so let me break it down. Myco refers to fungi. Heterotrophy means getting nutrients from other organisms. Put them together, and you have a plant that gets its nutrients from fungi. Here's how it works. Beneath the forest floor, there's an enormous, invisible network, a web of fungal threads called mycelium, weaving through the soil and wrapping around the roots of trees. In most cases, this is a beautiful partnership. The fungus helps the tree absorb water and minerals, and in return, the tree gives the fungus sugars produced by photosynthesis. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, a true friendship of the forest. But then along comes the ghost plant. It attaches its own roots to the fungus, and it begins to take. It doesn't give anything back. It doesn't help the tree. It doesn't help the fungus. It simply siphons off nutrients, sugars, minerals, energy that were originally made by the tree. passed through the fungus, and now stolen by the ghost plant. That's why, despite looking so innocent and delicate, the ghost plant is technically classified as a parasite. It's a thief in the woods. A quiet, beautiful, pale little thief. Because the ghost plant doesn't rely on sunlight, it can grow in places where almost no other flowering plant can. Deep in the shade. Under thick canopies, in the darkest corners of old-growth forests. As long as it can find a suitable host fungus connected to a healthy tree, the ghost plant can thrive. And thrive it does. Even without the sun, it manages to complete the full life cycle of a flowering plant. Each stem produces a single, downward-facing, bell-shaped flower, which is where it gets the name Indian pipe, because it looks a little like an old-fashioned smoking pipe pushed into the ground. And here's where nature adds another beautiful twist. Even though the ghost plant lives such an unusual life, it still relies on one of the most familiar creatures in the world for reproduction: bees. Bumblebees, in particular, visit the flowers to collect nectar, and in doing so, they pollinate the plant. Once pollinated, the ghost plant produces tiny, dust-like seeds that are scattered on the wind and carried across the forest floor, ready to find their own fungal partners and start the cycle again. Now, before I finish, I want to leave you with one very important piece of advice. If you're ever hiking through a shady forest and you're lucky enough to come across a ghost plant, please don't pick it. It might be tempting. It's beautiful. It looks unreal. It's the kind of thing you'd want to bring home or press in a book. But the moment you pluck it from the ground, you sever its connection to the fungus that feeds it. And within hours, it will begin to wilt, blacken, and dissolve into a dark, inky mess. It's said that this is where the name corpse plant comes from, the way it decays so quickly and so dramatically once it's cut. So instead, kneel down. Take a picture if you'd like. Admire its strange, pale beauty. And then leave it there, quietly doing what it has been doing for millions of years, living in the dark, stealing sugar from trees, and reminding us that nature is far stranger and far more inventive than we often give it credit for. The ghost plant is more than just a curiosity. It's a symbol of how life finds a way, even in the absence of sunlight, even in the shadows, even by bending the rules of what a plant is supposed to be. And I hope the next time you walk through a forest, you'll look a little closer at the ground beneath your feet, because you never know what quiet wonders might be waiting there. If you find this video interesting, follow for more amazing videos like this.